Well, good evening, everyone. Here we are for another live stream in the build up to our big event, the Bitcoin Fest, which is coming up at Carlton Football Club on the 6th of April. We're getting very excited. As a follow-up to the last two interviews I've done live with our two main organisers, I'm now starting to do a number of interviews with the speakers. I've not seen an event do this before. It gives us a chance to kind of get to know our speakers before everybody turns up. So you've got a little bit of an idea who's going to be speaking to you and what the topics will be before we get there. So today we've got Simon, who's known as Hodl Solo on Twitter. He's responsible for looking after the Bitcoin Events UK. He's also involved in Bridge to Bitcoin, and he also has a Bitcoin shop. And just before we went live, he was just telling me how busy his life is, and I'm not surprised, with all those titles. And on top of that, he does a fiat job as well. So amazing, Simon, fantastic, And so, to what do we owe the honour of you speaking at Carlton Football Club? How did that come about? Could you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, I suppose it came about through the fact that I know Chris Dan, one of the organisers of the Bitcoin Fest. I first met him through the fact that he runs the Nottingham meetup group, and so it's one of the things that I have to do is contact all the meetup organisers to get all the details that I can from them. So that I can list them on the website. So I initially contacted him through that. That was a couple of years ago, and then I met him in person at the Bitcoin Adventure in 2022, so 2 years ago, well, a year and a half ago or so, and got on very well with him, as Bitcoiners do. We all kind of seem to get on really well. We've got such common values and interests. So then we've kept in touch, and about a year ago he started helping me out with Bitcoin Events website when it was getting really busy at one point, and there was a lot of new meetups popping up all over the place.
I had a look earlier, actually. There's loads.
Yeah, there is tons, and it seems to come in little fits and starts. There'll be nothing for a little while, and then all of a sudden in 2 weeks there's like 5 new meetups all starting at once. So at one point it was quite busy, and like I said, I'm still working a fiat job, so Chris offered to help me out and get some of the help list some of those the meetups that needed listing. So he did that.
Wow.
And
how many meetup groups are there on your website?
So I've just had a count up yesterday. We had a big surge after Christmas, and some of those are still in the works and aren't quite up there. And I gave a number out the other day and said it was I think 63 meetups. It's actually because there's about 8 at the moment which are kind of in the works. So it's actually about 55 that are actually active live meetups at the moment. So
wow.
I mean, I don't want to give too much away from the talk that I'm doing. I've given a big point of it away there, but it's grown massively in the 2 years since and I mean, it's not all to do with me. I mean, I've just listed a lot of it, but I've encouraged a lot of Bitcoiners that I know that I've been to meetups and met them, or they've come to my meetup. I run the Northamptonshire meetup, and if they've traveled a long way, if they're traveling an hour or an hour and a half to come to the meetup, I've encouraged them quite often to maybe start their own and fill in some of those gaps around the country that that there was. So yeah, it's
when did the website start?
Well, funnily enough, it started on the 7th of April in 2022. So the Bitcoin Fest is going to be on the 6th. Yeah, so almost to the day it will be 2 years. So it's a nice bookend of from one a whole 2 year sort of session that we've done of all this work. So it would be nice to give everybody a kind of a summary and an update of where we are now.
Well, apparently Satoshi Nakamoto's birthday is on the 5th of April. I don't know if you knew that. So all these events are kind of congregate. It seems very highly appropriate.
Yeah, that's really good that it is. Yeah, hadn't thought about that. It's very close to his birthday. Yeah, and I think as the Bitcoin Fest is going to have hopefully a lot of pre-coiners and people that aren't necessarily super knowledgeable about Bitcoin, and for some of them it may be their first Bitcoin event that they'll have been to. So we want to make sure that they realize that there is this whole thriving community in the UK. There's meetups every single week. I mean, this week, for instance, there is quite a busy one this week. There's 13 meetups around the UK this week.
Wow.
So
in the space of 2 years, that's amazing.
Yeah. There was only 10 meetups in 2022 in April when we started. So it's grown massively. I think a lot of that may have been it's just the right time, and the adoption's getting bigger and bigger. People came out of COVID, they weren't allowed to meet up with friends, and I think that caused a lot of people to, if people that didn't necessarily agree with the lockdowns, they wanted somebody, they kind of were looking on Twitter and thinking, well, a lot of Bitcoiners don't agree with this or are very skeptical about this sort of stuff. So maybe I should be meeting more Bitcoiners because I'm falling out with friends over this. But so maybe I should be friends.
Excellent. It was a good catalyst, I think. Fantastic.
I think it was.
So that's the Bitcoin events. And then on top of that, you're also involved with Bridge to Bitcoin, which is helping businesses take on Bitcoin payments. How many businesses would you say you've managed to onboard?
Oh, wow. I don't think we've actually kept a running count. James or Chris might have more solid numbers on the businesses we've helped. That again is sort of fits and starts. There's been periods where we were on Zoom calls nearly every night of the week with businesses. Initially, we were going to like door to door almost on businesses. That wasn't always super. Like we didn't get a lot of businesses from that, but as we've got more known within the Bitcoin community, and we've gone on a few podcasts and talked about it, we've found that Bitcoiners have referred their friends that they might know a friend who's got a hairdresser's or a bookshop or something, and they've said, oh, I know these guys, British Bitcoin, they can help you set them up. So that's what's happened. Probably more recently, we're getting people coming to us. We also go to trade shows as well. We've done 2 big trade shows in London at the London XL, which are just normie sort of trade shows, and we sort of set up a Bridge to Bitcoin stand and try to pitch Bitcoin to them, not as an asset to invest in necessarily, but we pitch it as something that is it's going to increase their footfall, bring new customers. They'll tap into this community, which which will bring them lots of new customers and money. Bitcoiners will travel for 2 hours to go to a cafe, for instance, and if they accept Bitcoin. So we kind of we pitch it in that way. It's a no loss sort of situation for them. It doesn't cost them anything. We don't charge for our services, so we found that it's been pretty successful.
That's amazing, actually, because I think in the early days it was quite easy to get businesses interested, but actually to sustain them long term was difficult, because even once they were interested, it was quite hard to, there were a number of barriers to entry in terms of actually applying it. So sounds like you're doing some amazing work, making it easier for them and hopefully keeping them interested.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, one of the big catalysts really for Bridge to Bitcoin is the fact that with the meetups, Bridge to Bitcoin and Bitcoin Events UK, I suppose, are kind of 2 legs of the same pair of trousers. It's when you've, and like you said, historically there were lots of meetups. There were several businesses that accepted Bitcoin, but they weren't getting a lot of customers because I know there was one actually close to us where we live here, and it was a bookshop, and he'd just put a sticker in the window saying accepted Bitcoin, and I went in there and I said, "Oh, I've heard you accept Bitcoin." He said, "We do. We've accepted Bitcoin for like 5 years, but no one's ever come in." And I said, "Well, what did you do?" "Well, I put a sticker in the window." It's like, well, you know, how in the world would Bitcoiners know about it? So what we do, so what we're able to do with sort of with Bitcoin Events UK being kind of a hub of all the meetup organizers, and we have a Telegram group with all the meetup organizers all over the UK and Ireland. We're able to, if we onboard a business, you know, in Brighton, that a restaurant that's accepting Bitcoin, we can contact the meetup organizer in Brighton straight away and say,
amazing,
"This is new restaurant. Go and have your meetup in that restaurant and make all the members of your meetup community aware of this business." So then that business has that constant flow of of sats, which historically I think was missing when people just put a sticker in their window, you know.
So it was hard. I mean, I don't know if you know my story, but I used to be a dentist, and I actually in 2017 I started accepting Bitcoin payments, but I'd gone through a phase of really thoroughly understanding what Bitcoin was. And also as a dentist, I had a captive audience. I mean, a lot of patients laugh about the fact that, you know, you can't really get a word in with dentists because stuff's going on in their mouth. So it was just like a captive audience. They'd just get this stream of Bitcoin knowledge. I like to claim that was partly why the price went up so much in 2017, but whether that's true or not, I've got no idea. So, you know, having been a business owner, I understand very well the difficulties. And actually, I wrote a book about my experiences of being a dentist, accepting Bitcoin payments, because that is actually one of the problems. You know, once you accept it, actually getting people to pay, because once they understand what it is, most people want to hold on to their Bitcoin. Although I know, having spoken to Chris, you have a mantra of spend and replace. So the idea is you spend it, and then when you spend it, you buy it again. So, you know, all these different ideas as a way of kind of getting it flowing through the economy. Because I completely agree with you. I mean, as much as people go on about the price rise, I think the real game changer is when people are actually using it as a currency in the economy. And I know a lot of dedicated Bitcoiners really working towards that goal. So fantastic. You're putting the pillars in place, and this is exactly what we need. You know, all of the different soldiers. We've got our Bitcoin army out there trying to make a difference. So all credit to you. Fantastic.
Trying to do our bit. And it all came from a meetup. I mean, originally I started the Northants Bitcoin Network, is the Northamptonshire meetup, and at my first meetup, Chris and James from British Bitcoin came along, and we realized we had a common interest in pushing adoption with merchants, and so we formed Bridge to Bitcoin. So that's kind of what I want to get across at the Bitcoin Festival. That when Bitcoiners get together, all sorts of great projects and things spring from those social gatherings. You know?
Because, you know, often they're people who think differently anyway, and so when you get people who think differently and they find their tribe, it's amazing what can happen. I mean, you know, just watching how the Bitcoin Fest has evolved. I mean, I've been part of the Nottingham Bitcoin group, and so I've gotten to know Dan and Darren and Mitch. It was a gradual evolution. Then all of a sudden, this idea for a bigger meeting at the local football club, it was an evolution, and people are so generous, and they want to do what they can in order to make things come alive. And once they came up with the idea, all the people kind of pitching in to make it better. It's just been amazing to watch. I love it. So, and in addition, sorry, carry on.
Go on. No, I was going to say, it's right. Everybody just, when you start something like this, it's amazing how many people then will just jump on it and say, right, we're going to help. It's like we're all working for the same company, really. Together.
It's amazing. Well, it's completely different with a company. You've got someone else kind of, come on team, what can you do? But this just is so vibrant because it all comes from each person's motivation, because they're so passionate about it.
Absolutely.
And so on top of doing Bitcoin events and Bridge to Bitcoin, you've also got your own Bitcoin shop. I mean, does it get any better than that? So what's that all about?
That was just really a little bit of a side hustle, I suppose. British Bitcoin and Bitcoin events don't make any money.
No.
It's a terrible, as Chris always says, is a terrible business plan. So I went to Madeira in February 2023, and my wife and I went just on a bit of a scouting mission to have a look and see what's going on over there. And I went to their meetup, and Nico, who runs the Consensus Network book publishers, you may know, he was at the meetup, and he had a little book stall there selling a range of books that they publish. And I thought this is a great idea for the meetup to have a little book stall there to sell books to the meetup goers. So I said to him, "Have you got a distributor in the UK for your books?" And he said, "No." So I said, "Right, well, I explained to him about Bitcoin events, and that I tried to get to as many Bitcoin meetups as I can, and that I sort of connected with all the meetup organizers all over the UK." And so he said, "That sounds perfect. You could be our distributor if you want." So he sent me 2 massive boxes of books. You can see some of them behind me there. Wow. And they turned up, and I've been selling them up at my own meetup and other events and things over the last, about a year ago, I suppose. I started doing it. So yeah, it's just a nice little extra thing. And my kids get involved as well. They'll be coming to the Bitcoin Fest, and we'll have a little stand there, and my kids will run the book stand, and they take the payments, and they love playing shopkeeper.
Yes. No, my daughter's done that for me as well. They
right.
do, actually. It's great, a way to get them involved. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, it's good. So yeah, it's just a little extra thing that it gave me a chance to have another project as well. So
yeah, but what a perfect tie-in with the interest you already had. I mean, they couldn't have found a better person to do that, really, could they?
Yeah, it's worked out well. So yeah, and I found that I do sell more books in person at the meetups than I do online. I don't really push the website that much. It's there for people to use. I mean, it's been handy sometimes when actually a few times people haven't had Bitcoin to spend, but they can actually go onto the website, pay for the books through the website, and then I hand them the books there and in person. Yeah. So the website has been handy for that. But I tend to sell more face to face. When you can hold a book in your hands and people want to take something away from the meetup. So it's been good.
And people have had conversations with you as well. Fantastic. So triple strings to your bow and a fiat job as well. Don't know how you fit it in, but well done you. So with the Bitcoin Fest, what obviously, that's given us a bit of your background. What are you hoping to, what's the idea behind your talk? What are you mainly going to focus on when you're talking to the audience?
Yeah, really, I suppose a summary and an update on where what's happened over the last 2 years. And like I said, just to show those that come to the event that probably haven't been to a Bitcoin event before, to show them that there's a lot going on all over the country, and what the benefits of attending a meetup or starting a meetup as well. I mean, I've helped now get a lot of the organizers started with their meetups all over the country, and so I'll sort of pitch it out there for people that are thinking about getting a meetup started. It's not as complicated as some people might think. It's pretty much as basic as just meeting up with your mates in the pub, really. But there's a few kind of boxes that I like to have ticked to get you listed on the website, and I can help people with all sorts of steps. Like anything from creating a logo for their meetup to getting a Telegram group set up and all sorts of things. So I'll run through some basic things, but it's and a bit of history as well of meetups pre 2022 as well, a little bit of the history of meetups in the UK, how the furthest back we can find any meetups, a little bit about that, and then the future of where I think the meetups will go in the future, and where what will happen. We don't know yet, but I've got some. I've got some ideas
fantastic, actually.
Go on.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic, actually, because I think we're looking at, there are 500 tickets available for this event, with 100 that are VIP tickets. And I already know there are people coming from all over the country. And so there may well be people visiting who don't have a local meetup. And so, yeah, I'm sure they're going to find that really valuable. So that sounds excellent. Wow, fantastic. So we've covered what you're doing at the moment. We've covered what you're speaking at the event. One of the things I often find interesting with Bitcoiners, because it's such a new thing and people find it quite difficult to find out about it. How did you first become interested in Bitcoin? How did you find out about it?
It was through I got into podcasting quite early on, sort of 2005. I had a podcast, actually, and me and my brother were just talking about movies and things, and so I got into it. Was one of the things that kind of orange pilled me in a way, the whole idea around podcasting back in those days, the fact that you could that a person could get the word out to everyone in the world. You put this file on the internet, this audio file, and everybody in the world can have access to it, and nobody can stop you from publishing it, and nobody can tell you what you can and can't say in that podcast. And I found that idea fascinating, and so I got very much into podcasting, and I followed a few podcasters, and there was one podcaster in particular that I followed on Twitter. His name is escaping me, but he was talking about Bitcoin back in 2013, and so I thought, wow, what's this? And I love technology of new things, and I think I'd seen the word a few times, and so I looked into it then. It was about October 2013, and the price was there was a bull run underway at that point, and so I bought a little bit of Bitcoin in sort of early November, I think, and thought I was a genius for about 6 weeks or so, and then Mt. Gox happened, and and the price started crashing, and I was listening to. I was lucky enough, I suppose, to find Andreas Antonopoulos' podcast, Let's Talk Bitcoin, that he used to do, and I don't know if I think it's changed its name now. So I got a good sort of guidance from that, but we moved overseas for a couple of years, and I kind of took my eye off the ball, and there was that big bear market, and biggest regret in my life was kind of taking my eye off it for a couple of years. But then in 2016, 17, I started getting back into it, and I've never stopped since that time. But it wasn't till I was just a sort of a silent hodler, lurking around on Twitter till 2022, and I'd never really met any other Bitcoiners until I met James and Chris and a few others at my meetup, and then it was all about it was all about I discovered myself this whole social side of Bitcoin, and how much opportunity there is when we all work together. So yeah,
I think it really does. It really does open up when you start to meet other people, I think. There is definitely a synergy rather than just sitting watching things, because I think when you meet other people, you're able to make a contribution, and that's when things really start to take off, I think.
I love to see people, when they come to the meetups and they start to think, well, maybe I'm not crazy, and they're held back a little bit, I think, by their friends thinking that they're mad. But then when you meet other Bitcoiners that are all just talking about this as like an inevitability, it's like, okay, well, I am going to do that project, or you work together with somebody, and everything's easier when you're working together, and you can combine your efforts. So it's an exciting time, and it's like a new frontier that we can all travel on this journey together, and it's great.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it sounds like you're really helping to facilitate that journey as well. I think you know the story you share about kind of watching it for a while. I think even before you meet other people, you know, the reading and the learning, because it's like you really have to check yourself, because there's so much in the media that makes you can make you second guess yourself. And so actually, you know, once you've built that confidence and then you're in a position to lead others, it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, there's so much rubbish out there in the news, and it is difficult when you first get into Bitcoin to find the right path and find the truth, and which people to ignore and which ones not to. And I suffered from that myself when I kind of came back to things.
Yeah,
exactly. In 2016, I wasn't sure this person was right or that person was right. So it's great to be able to now help and guide friends, family, and other Bitcoiners, pre-coiners that I meet, to send them links, send them videos, listen to this person, oh no, ignore that person, you know, and help guide them through that minefield of information. So it's a nice thing to be able to do.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. So I think, guys, you know, this has given us a wonderful summary of, you know, how Simon is hoping to contribute to this event. To finally wrap up, Simon, is there anything in particular that you're looking forward to from having seen the schedule and all the events that are going on? Anything that really stands out that you're looking forward to?
I'm just looking forward to meeting some new Bitcoiners. Hopefully, that, like we said, there will be some new people coming along. I suppose the price is helping that at the moment. The price has gone up quite a bit in the last couple of months, so there should be a lot of people that are curious, that are starting to come out of the woodwork. So hopefully, we'll meet some new people. Seeing old friends again that I haven't seen for a few months will be good. And it's a great grassroots.
Are you a football fan?
I do like football. Yeah, I haven't got so much time for it these days, but
because we will have a match in the afternoon after we've done all the Bitcoining talks. So, and then chatting to Bitcoiners at the same time. What could be better than that?
And well, I know what will happen. Everybody will be talking and not watching the football. That's for sure. So
don't tell the football owners that.
No. So I'm just looking forward to seeing people starting their journey as well, and realizing that we're not all crazy, that we can all be crazy together.
Absolutely. Great stuff. Well, I think on that note, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you ever so much to everyone who's watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, because we're looking for more subscribers. You know, not only are we going to have this event available for 500 people, but anyone who's not able to make it, we're going to be live streaming it. And so in order for that to reach more people, then subscribing really helps, because it will really help the algorithm. And if you feel inclined to make a comment, that would be great too. So we'll leave it there. Simon, thank you so much for your time this evening. I'm really looking forward to meeting you in person on the 6th of April, and all the other Bitcoiners who are going to be joining us there as well. Thank you so much.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Victoria.
Bye.